News Talk 1090, WKBC Muskegon, and heard 24 hours a day on WOOD HD2 Muskegon. The Talk of Muskegon is News Talk 1090, WKBC Muskegon, and heard 24 hours a day on WOOD HD2 Muskegon.
Fox News Radio, I'm Dave Anthony. Pope Francis takes his place, wearing his new ring, installed as the new Catholic Church leader at an inauguration mass. Fox News Radio's Courtney Walsh, live at the Vatican.
Yes, Dave. Well, Pope Francis is still greeting world leaders in the center of St. Peter's.
And we've lost our connection with Courtney Walsh at the Vatican. Again, the Pope is still out there in St. Peter's Square, as she talked about talking to different world leaders who were part of the delegation to the Vatican to today's inaugural Mass. The Pope said in his homily,
amid so much darkness, we need to see the light of hope.
And he called for people to protect the environment and the weakest and the poorest among us. An explosion during a Marine training exercise in Nevada. It happened last night south of Reno. There are unconfirmed reports of injuries. Reuters reports there may be fatalities. In Syria, the regime claims rebels have for the first time used a chemical weapon, poison gas, in an attack today that killed 16, wounded 86 more. Rebels claim it was regime troops who fired it. The Senate is expected today to approve a short-term budget plan. Fox News Radio's Rich Johnson live in Washington.
By the end of the week, Congress should finish work on that continuing resolution covering the rest of the fiscal year. The measure will continue the cuts imposed by the sequester, but give some agencies a bit of discretion on how to cut. Then it's on to the budget for 2014, something Congress has not accomplished in 4 years. Both the House and Senate working on different plans. The House measure promises a balanced budget in a decade. The Senate leaves a big debt, but commits to stabilizing the debt as a share of the economy. Dave?
Rich, have you ever needed knee surgery? A new study suggests whether you needed it or not. Researchers in Boston compared physical therapy to arthroscopic surgery for a torn meniscus and found that for those who stuck with therapy, it worked just as well than most times. Fox News Radio, fair and balanced.
Jay Farner here from Quicken Loans. We get a lot of tweets from folks that sound just like this. Jay, I bought my home in 2007. Since then, it's gone down in value. Now I owe more on my mortgage than my home is worth. Can I refinance? The answer may very well be yes. Recently, the government announced changes that may allow folks to refinance even if their home has lost value. For example, if you owe $300,000 on your mortgage, but your home's only worth $150,000, Quicken Loans may still be able to help you. Or if your current mortgage rate is higher than 3.99%, you've got to give us a call today at 800-QUICKEN. And for 3 years in a row now, J.D. Power & Associates has ranked Quicken Loans highest in the nation in customer satisfaction for primary mortgage origination. So, if your current mortgage is higher than 3.99%, or if you owe more than your home is worth, call Quicken Loans today at 800-QUICKEN or go to QuickenLoans.com.
For J.D. Power & Associates award information, visit jdpower.com. Important terms and conditions apply. Calls for cost information. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLS number 3030.
Good morning, I'm Derek Francis with this WZZM News update. A proposed bill in the Michigan legislature could save cities and counties millions of dollars. Senate Bill 245 would exempt government jail building projects from sales taxes on construction material. Muskegon County has already approved plans for a new jail and juvenile center, and the county expects to pay around $20 million in construction material. If 245 becomes law, the proposal would save Muskegon County $1.2 million in sales taxes. Howland police are removing a local woman from their missing persons database after finding out she left on her own accord. Family and friends say they last heard from Emmeline Van Dyke on Valentine's Day, but this weekend officers spotted her car at a hotel in Roswell, New Mexico. When they made contact with her, she told officers she was aware that she was considered missing, but chose to remain silent for personal reasons. And former Detroit Mayor Kwame Kilpatrick is asking to be released on bond so he can see his wife and children in Texas. A federal jury found him guilty of racketeering, bribery, and other charges last week, and since then, he's been behind bars awaiting sentencing. His lawyer says the ex-mayor is not a flight risk, and his mother is using her home as collateral to ensure he shows up for sentencing. U.S. Attorney's Office, however, opposes bond for Kilpatrick.
Keeping you informed online. I'm WZZM 13's Derek Francis on NewsTalk1090.com.
It's that time of year again when your lawn is top of mind. So let the experts at Preferred Lawn Care of Muskegon handle it for you. Preferred Lawn Care, 'cause
it's beautiful outside.
A lot of main roads, icy, slushy, wet, and slow. You want to give yourself extra time. Some of the country roads have sheet ice. Some of the roads seem to be doing okay. Be careful when you get to the freeway bridges and ramps. 24-hour traffic tip line, 830-3111 in the Meyer Traffic Center. I'm Kevin Richards.
Hi, I'm Jenny Garth. Heart disease is something I live with every day. It runs in my family, and it took my dad's life. So I'm choosing to speak up, and so can you. Tell people how it's the #1 killer of women. Tell them 1 woman dies every minute from it, and that 80% of cardiac events in women may be prevented if you make the right choices today. Join American Heart Association's Go Red for Women. Speak up to save lives at goredforwomen.org.
24,000 children die every day from preventable causes. My name is Lawrence Fishburne, and I believe that number should be 0. Believe in 0.
Join the effort. Visit unicefusa.org.
Here's the official News Talk 1090 WKBZ forecast. The lake effect snow advisory remains in effect until midnight. Occasional snow showers today with 1 to 2 inches of accumulation. Quite windy with those west winds at 25 to 35 miles an hour. Occasionally gusts over 40, a high of just 28. Still windy tonight, more snow showers, but less than 1 inch of accumulation. A low of 22. Northwest winds 25 to 35. And then variably cloudy with snow showers tomorrow, still cold, a high of only 24. News Talk 1090, the talk of Muskegon.
It's time for Talkin' Muskegon on News Talk 1090 WKBZ, the talk of Muskegon. It's time for Talkin' Muskegon on News Talk 1090 WKBZ, the talk of Muskegon.
All right, we're all on. We're all talking.
We are all here, except we are, as we mentioned yesterday, if you haven't tuned in yesterday, this is Jim Riley. I'm here with my co-host, Mike Hewitt, from the Renegade River Show and the Renegade River Sporting Goods and Gun and Ammo and gigantic illegal magazine
all
store.
All-around good guy.
All-around good guy down in Spring Lake. And of course, the inimitable Oscar Osbo. And
I'm glad you said that word, because I don't think I can.
Inimitable. Yeah, early in the morning, I might get away with it. We are not the permanent hosts here. Things have not changed. There has not been a sea change. Yeah, there we go. Exactly. You're the regulars of decades long service to you radio listeners in Muskegon County. John Van Wyck is down in sunny Florida. We hope it's sunny. He'll be back on Thursday. And Brian Worsham, I saw a Facebook post. He's out there killing the golden goose, I guess.
Oh, the goose.
Someplace, some type of goose. And I would imagine at some point his goose will be cooked, but he will be back here also. Come Thursday, so we're hanging on just by our few little remaining fingernails that we have, and right after the half hour, we are expecting a call from Tanya Kabbalah of the White Lake Environmental
Project, yeah,
and which is really kind of an interesting story, and we'll talk to Tanya after the half. Hey, on this day in history. One of my favorite things, and I know Mike's big in this, but this is a day that really has a big time connection to Muskegon County. On this day in 1987, televangelist. Who's Muskegon's most famous televangelist? Oscar, anybody know? Jim Baker.
Oh yeah, okay.
Muskegon High School's Jim Baker. Remember Jim and Tammy?
I thought Tammy was, but you know.
Well, Tammy's pretty famous too. But
chips.
But, of course, she's not around any longer. But anyway, Jim resigned from the PTL club due to a scandal involving Jessica Hahn. Mm-hmm. And you may recall all the tears that Tammy shed.
Do you remember Sam Kennison?
Yes, I do. I love Sam.
He had a video, Wild Thing, and he wrestled Jessica Hahn in mud. It was great. But anyway.
Seriously.
There's a vision. It is a vision.
That is a vision, and that was a brilliant comedian. I'm sad that he's no longer with us. Right. I'd love to get that video, though.
Yeah. I wish I would have kept it.
Well, anyway, we don't have that. And also on this date in 1918, the brilliant folks in the United States Congress approved daylight savings time. Now, I like daylight savings time. I hear people do nothing but complain about it. But we did not have it, apparently, prior to 1918, and we have it now. I don't know, any thoughts? Is that a good idea or a bad idea?
You know, mostly, Jim, I like it in the evenings, but not so much in the mornings.
Yeah.
Yeah, now, you know, no matter what I do in life, I'm still a second shift guy inside. So it doesn't matter what my job is or what my responsibilities are. I get up and I do them, but but I'm a second shift guy.
Well, you're not alone in not being fond of that, but we got it, folks. Although, as Indiana found out, they voted to get on daylight savings just a few years ago. Indiana, if you may recall, was in sync with Michigan for part of the year, and then when we went on daylight savings, they did not. So each state can make their own decision, which I think is wonderful. Let the states decide. Two other items that happened in history. And it just gives you a sense of the power of various governments. Well, actually, I'm going to go with three because this is the World Health Organization. In 1998, warned of a tuberculosis epidemic that could kill 70 million people in the next 2 decades unless we gave them a ton of money. Now, I would imagine that we either gave them enough money because we haven't had that 70 million person epidemic, or perhaps they're just waiting for the last few years of that 2 decades. But apparently the World Health Organization also said that if they didn't get a pile of money, there would be brontosauruses and Tyrannosaurus rexes stomping around New York City, and there are none, so I would imagine that is proof.
Are you sure?
Well, the mayor would have banned them had there been any.
Yeah,
that
organization, though, Jim, said that there was no such thing as a harm from secondhand smoke until they were given a little bit more money, and then they realized that there was. So I think there's some money tied to their opinions.
Geez, you think that could be the case. Well, nonetheless, they sent that warning out about 15 years ago, and Thankfully, they were wrong, or perhaps they were right, and we just gave them enough money.
I think we should think about something like that, maybe come up with some kind of...
Really? Yeah. If you don't listen to this show and buy from our advertisers,
that's right.
What was it?
You'll come down with
National Lampoon threatened to kill a puppy if you didn't buy their magazine many years ago. Okay. Also in 2000, I love this. Again, this is why governments have consultants. Vector Data Systems. I have no clue what that company is, but they conducted a simulation of the 1993 Branch Davidian siege in Waco, Texas. And you may remember that the answer to complaints about children being abused and I guess abused was the main reason why that religious compound was surrounded by federal officers, was intended to protect the children. Unfortunately, all of the children were killed in the process of saving them. That was your government at work. But the federal government, you got to love this. In 2000, they hired Vector Data Systems, who conducted a simulation of the siege, and it showed that the government had not fired first. So you can, I'm sure, sleep comfortably tonight that anybody with a computer and a government contract can make you feel like those children and the other folks in the Branch Davidian compound died not in vain.
I'm not sure who fired first, but I know which group fired the incendiary shots and the smoke that everyone knows causes fire, etc.
Well, everyone died, and again, for those who say it can't happen here, it did happen here 20 years ago. Also, the final one, and this to me, it harkens back to the smart meter discussions that are going around the country, and many of them here in West Michigan, where the public relations gentleman, whose name escapes me, but who attended one of these smart meter meetings, told the crowd there that, in fact, Muskegon County, Consumers Energy, has to buy, perhaps it's West Michigan, has to purchase 30% of its energy, electrical energy, in the summers because they are unable to generate their own energy. They have to buy it from some other areas. Now, this is before, of course, they shut down the Cobb plant and the other coal-fired plants that the President Obama's administration has made essentially unprofitable and ultimately illegal to continue on in their current form. So we are 30% already short on the energy necessary to provide air conditioning and the various things that we use electricity for in the summer. That's before we shut down these plants. For those of you who are still comfortable with that concept, in 2001, California officials declared a power alert and ordered the first 2 days of rolling blackouts. Now, I'm originally from the East Coast and saw many of these brownouts and blackouts over the years. But this goes back over 10 years ago. This is 2001, 12 years ago. California had rolling blackouts, which means that your energy, your electrical energy, is turned off, and brownouts, which mean it's if you got anything plugged in, it'll burn up. Because
where were you when the lights went out? Yeah.
Exactly, and I would not be shocked if somebody did a little analysis of this and found that the serious decline that California has experienced may have begun in 2001 when companies found that they did not have reliable electricity and said, hey, instead of moving to California, we'll move to Uganda, where they have better electrical support. So anyway, these are things all happened today in history, March 19.
Yeah, the irony to all of that is that it has nothing to do with our capacity to produce. It's all politics plugged into what should be just a science.
Absolutely. There is absolutely no energy shortage unless you create one. Germany created one right after the Japanese tsunami, which is a year ago, 2 years ago? Yeah. Which took out their nuke plants, and then Japan shut down many of their the nuclear power plants. Germany did the same thing. They said, we're going to shut down all our plants. They found out they didn't have enough energy. This is just recently. They did not have enough energy production within their country. So now they're now buying energy from countries surrounding them who are producing their energy with nuclear power. So, anyway.
Didn't we have not enough energy back in the 70s, too, didn't we? Yeah, something like that.
Well, in fact, we did not have enough energy, but that was because there were problems building plants. We weren't allowed to build plants. Certainly, there were some very serious problems with of course, the Russian Chernobyl, but we also had situations, 3 Mile Island out in Pennsylvania, and other situations. But technology has changed.
Now, I got to tell you guys, though, when you're looking back into the 70s and you're comparing it to the weather outside today, I know that the global warming thing is the current drive, but back in the 70s, it was the coming ice age from the same group of people. Okay. And today they may actually be closer to right than they've been at any other time since they started.
Well, and interestingly enough, many of those exact same people that were warning of the coming ice age are still around and are still experts and still are revered by those who are telling us that if we don't destroy our economic system, we will, in fact, endure a global warming that will rise. You know, it's interesting. It says the water's going to rise. If you've been out to the beaches in Lake Michigan, wouldn't that be a good idea? We're going to be spending millions of dollars to dredge here shortly this summer.
Mm-hmm. I just know that today global warming sounds it could be okay. Here we are, 19th is the 19th of the month.
Right.
Yeah,
tomorrow's spring.
Sideways.
Tomorrow is spring.
21 degrees with the wind blowing sideways. Global warming doesn't sound
we have a great window here, and it is 22 degrees, and it is it's a lovely winter day.
This is the stuff I faced this morning coming from Whitehall. Right here. It was all, the roads were pretty icy.
You're out in the great wide open out there, too.
Whitehall to North Muskegon, it was kind of icy, and then it got a little better in Muskegon.
Well, it's clear that this kind of weather is proof of global warming.
That's why they switched it to global climate change, and then it became global climate change crisis.
Yep, correct.
But all by the same people that used to threaten that the coming ice age was going to...
We need a new word to make more money.
Yeah, it's all about. Well, in the end, it's follow the money.
We're going to have another new word, and that is when we don't have enough electricity, and when our companies do move to places that will provide electricity. So who knows? But hey, Mike, you had you wanted to talk about an issue that is, I think, not just timely because it's coming up in a couple days, but it has repercussions, I think, nationally over time.
You know, with as you mentioned in the introduction, I just kind of, as a disclosure, I own a firearms store. I'm a FFL licensed store. And so that said, firearms and that topic is near and dear to my heart. I watch it pretty closely. And coming up on March 21st at 6 p.m. in Grand Haven.
Day after tomorrow.
And this isn't an Ottawa County or a Grand Haven issue. It's a West Michigan issue, the way it's being presented. There's a meeting that will be taking place at the Grand Haven Community Center, which is in downtown Grand Haven. And the title of it is A Conversation About Gun Violence. And so I've Facebook messaged back and forth with one of Ottawa County's commissioners who's part of the organizational body of this group, and I asked him if because they disclose it as to promote civil discussion on important topics. And so I asked if it's about, if we're really truly trying to have civil discussion, why didn't we call it firearms awareness or firearms safety or firearms information? Why gun violence? And frankly, I'm not aware of a gun violence problem in Ottawa County. And this is, again, one of our Ottawa County commissioners that I was talking to. But then when I start looking at the names of the people that make up the panel that's going to be having this dialogue, it's first off, it's put on by the American Bar Association, which has got a long history of being very anti-firearms and anti-Second Amendment. And then the list is like the who's who in West Michigan of people that have made public comments that they're not in support of the Second Amendment, not in support of my right to defend myself, my family, and my nation, which is my interpretation of the Second Amendment.
But I
make one of those mistakes of taking the words literally.
But isn't the fact that these folks who you may disagree with, and I most certainly disagree with in terms of their anti-gun stand, but isn't the fact that they're having and putting on a public forum where any number of different people can speak, isn't that a good idea?
The way I understand the format, it's this. You'll hear a handful of speakers that are all very much, as I said, I shouldn't say all, I don't want to put thoughts in their head, but it looks like the majority of these people are anti-Second Amendment. So what you're going to have is you'll have a parade of people espousing their particular position with very little or no dissenting voice from that, and they're going to break all of the visitors that they're inviting to show up. They're estimating about 200. They're going to break those folks up into small groups, and what they get out of that is they get to be the person then after the fact that goes from table to table, gathers everyone's views, and then they can report that everyone is in agreement with their position.
Now, that only will happen, though, if someone like you didn't get on the radio today. That will only happen if only anti-gun people attend this event. And this event, the information has been sent out, not really to conservatives, to Tea Party types, even to the Republican Party. It's been sent out to those people in the Democrat Party, liberals, people who call themselves progressives. It's been somewhat under the horizon until people like you somehow got a hold of it, and you've been spreading the word yourself. So in other words, this was intended, at least the way I have read it, this was intended to only attract people who would tend to be anti-gun in any number of different ways. But in fact, people who are pro-gun, or at least pro-conversation, may be attending this, which I think is kind of cool. Good for you.
What's fascinating about it is kind of twofold. First off, there's only a small handful of retail storefront federal firearms licensed dealers in the county of Ottawa, at least. And to my knowledge, this organization hasn't reached out to any of those retail storefront federal firearms licensed dealers to say we want to have a fair and open discussion.
So they could have put a flyer in your store or sent it to you and said, hey, you've got all sorts of people interested in gun conversation. Let them know.
I helped them, Jim. I put flyers in my store, and I put it on my Facebook page.
But you did that on your own.
I wanted to help them, because that's the kind of guy I am.
You've got that kind of grin that I love when it says, I'm here to help you. Well, there we go.
Well, that's what they're doing. They're here to help us, but they don't want any dissenting opinion from their view, and that's not, to me, what civil discussion is about. Civil discussion is where you gather and you have some form of democracy where you can have dissenting voices and perhaps take a poll or a vote. You don't just lockstep with the people that agree with you and then announce that West Michigan has taken a position. But before we move on, I wanted to tell you, if a person were to Google a conversation about gun violence, put it in quotes and Google it, you'll find that these meetings have been taking place all across the United States. This is not just West Michigan. It's not just a couple people that got together as advocates and decided to take a stand. This is a concerted effort that's designed to end up in all of the little local newspapers across America with a united voice against your Second Amendment rights. And so to your point early on, what's really important for all, regardless of your opinion, is if you don't take an active role in these kind of meetings, the only people that will are the people we're talking about that didn't want dissenting voice. It'll be only their voice heard.
We need to take a break.
We'll be right back.
Hi, this is Brian Kilmeade, inviting you to listen to Kilmeade and Friends. I break down the biggest stories of the day in the news and tell you what I think. Plus, you get insight and perspective from my Fox friends like Steve Ducey, Gretchen Carlson, Brett Baer, Chris Wallace, Governor Mike Huckabee, Bill Hammer, Martha McCallum, and people like Geraldo Rivera, only on Kilmeade and Friends.
Catch it weekday mornings from 9 till 11 on News Talk 1090, WKBZ, the talk of Muskegon.
Every 1.7 seconds, a person is victimized by crime in the U.S. An assault occurs every 9 seconds. Home invasions are a growing trend. Now is the time to shield yourself. Port City Pistol, 4250 Airline Road, or PortCityPistol.com.
Baker Auto and Marine Trim is the Lakeshore seating and upholstery experts, plus a whole lot more. Stay warm this winter with remote starters and heated seats from Baker. Use your tax return to get those accessories or custom work you've always wanted. Baker specializes in fleet service. Business owners, call Baker today to get your entire fleet of vehicles restored. Local dealers and body shops get their work done at Baker. Baker Auto and Marine Trim does it all and has been for nearly 100 years. That's Baker with 2 Ks on Pine Street in downtown Muskegon.
It's the sale Michigan's been waiting for 1 week only. It's Benton Chevrolet Cadillac GMC's gigantic 30th anniversary sale. Both sides of Henry Street are packed wall to wall with vehicles. And right now, get up to 30% off your new car. Trade-in values are at an all-time record high. Buy low and sell high. Get up to 30% off your new car. 0% financing and up to $10,000 in discounts and more. Right now, get a 2013 Chevy Silverado, only $198 a month, plus 2 years free maintenance. Or a 2013 Chevy Cruze, only $79 a month. A huge selection of Chevy Malibus at $109 per month. And Chevy Equinox, just $119 a month. We want and need your trade. And values are at record high levels. Plus, get up to 30% off the price of your new vehicle. Every vehicle sold is backed by the Benton low price guarantee. Only at the Benton Chevrolet Cadillac GMC's anniversary sale. Both sides of Henry Street, Muskegon. The time to buy is now.
Hey sportsmen, this is your show, the Ultimate Sports Show in Grand Rapids.
Over 4 acres of hunting, fishing, manufacturers, dealers, and specialty baits. Book the trip of a lifetime at the Outfitters Expo, and there's no better way to buy your new fishing boat. Huge selections from West Michigan dealers who specialize in fishing boats, and all it takes to rig them right. Register to win a fly-in fishing trip to Expeditions North Lodge in Ontario. It's a 1-week trip for 2 people, and that's March 21st through the 24th at the Voss Place.
That's what we're talking about. That's what I'm talking about,
yeah,
Todd.
Baby!
Sirens, jet engines, car horns, leaf blowers. Today's world puts our sense of hearing on overload. Luckily, there are places we can go to refocus our senses. Our national wildlife refuges. It's amazing how much more you'll hear when you just take a minute to listen. Like a stirring chorus of songbirds warbling in the treetops. Or the industrious beaver slapping its tail in the mountain pond over baritone bullfrogs. Or the pulsating beat of a pileated woodpecker looking for a meal. When you hear these things, you're hearing the world the way we found it. With over 500 refuges across America, you don't have to go far to make a special connection with nature. Learn more at fws.gov/refuges. That's fws.gov/refuges.
A word from the cast of Hot in Cleveland.
Want to hear a joke?
Oh, yes.
Sure. What's the #1 killer of women?
Well, you're still here, so that rules out crankiness.
And tracksuits. Heart disease.
But that's a joke?
Oh, no, it's an absolute fact, but the American Heart Association says you can save lives by passing it along to 5 women you love.
Aww.
So I'm starting with 3 I tolerate. That's a joke.
Find out more at goredforwomen.org.
They don't have to die, but they do. 24,000 children every day. My name is Orlando Bloom, and I believe that number should be 0. Believe in 0. Join the effort. Visit UNICEFUSA.org.
Start something.
If you have a big experience, share it at bigbrothersbigsisters.org.
Now, back to Talkin' Muskegon on News Talk 1090 WKBZ, the talk of Muskegon.
And we are back.
All three of us.
Oh,
holy moly. You know, I did see people walking outside the window with hooks, and I thought maybe someone might kind of grab one of us. But
big cane, 6 foot long cane.
There we go. But we are still all here at Talkin' Muskegon. And do we have somebody on the line?
Yeah, we do. We have Tanya Kabala now. I've been working with Tanya now for, actually I work with her on the 150th anniversary of White Lake and everything else, and we were working together again, and I'll let Tanya tell you about the White Lake Environmental Project.
Hey, good morning, Tanya.
Good morning. It's a nice white wintry morning, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Yes, it is. It's a gorgeous. If you got your snowshoes, it's gorgeous.
And if you can stay in your house, it's even better.
Oh yes, if you got a window.
Yeah, that's perfect. I agree. Well, the White Lake Environmental History Project. It's a project I'm working on with the White Lake Community Library. And we've been working on this almost a year. And the idea of it is to actually look back into the White Lake area's history related to industrial pollution and some of the big events that happened that put us on the map nationally for pollution. The Hooker Chemical Company and issues like that, and really to take a good, thorough look, not necessarily digging up dirt and rehashing old issues, but looking at how what happened affected the entire community, from the workers to the businesses to the people who protested the pollution, really finding out the entire story. We're actually doing interviews with people to get their memories and their recollections of events, and we're also putting materials, looking for materials, old photos, old documents, old letters, and all of this is going on a website. That's www.restoringwhitelake.com. And eventually the materials we're hoping will be used to create a publication, kind of a looking back and looking forward publication, just so people who've lived here forever and people who are coming to visit or people who are coming to as tourists know the full story.
That's the thing about it too. When doing a lot of the videos, what a wide variety of stories you have, and a lot of them too. Some of them contradict a little bit of each other. Like when Norm Allman did his interview and talked a little bit. Norm's been a mayor and everything else over there and a teacher in White Lake. And then you look at Dexter Kings, who's 99 years old and worked at the tannery, and his idea of what the pollution was all about and how the tannery didn't do anything and it was Hooker Chemical. And I mean, it's fun stuff to listen to and to video. So.
Well, and what's interesting is that all of these interviews do kind of fit together and make up pieces of a larger puzzle. And not only does it provide a lot of the factual information, a lot of the information that not everybody knows, it's also really very interesting stories. And, that's what history is, really, more than just numbers or dates and things. It's the history of our community, and it's probably one of the most challenging times we've had. So it's really important to get this down while we can still interview people and still gather the materials. And not only is it a story of what happened, the pollution, which is, that's happened in many communities, but it also will be the story of what was done to clean up White Lake.
Which White Lake is off the the list, right? As far as being.
We're very close, Oscar. Many of the major actions that need to be taken are being taken, and a lot of what's happening now is dotting the I's and crossing the T's. I'm with the White Lake Public Advisory Council that's been around working on this for over 20 years, and we've worked with the state and federal agencies to set goals for the lake. And we're in the process of meeting those goals, but documenting that we have met those goals. And what we like to say is White Lake is now out of the intensive ward of the hospital, and we're eventually going to be in the general ward. So, so that's good. that's good. It just doesn't mean that the lake is perfect. It means that we're probably like a lot of other lakes out there.
You know, there's a lot of history, too, in the White Lake area as far as, you know, the Ark, where people have talked about as far as that being out in the middle of the lake where people could do their ice fishing right from the Ark and have food and whatever. But Bev Hunt had a kind of a unique story about the time when they were protesting in the 70s. And Ken Mahoney's wife, Mary, wanted to lay in front of one of the toxic trucks that was coming in and wanted to stop him. And then it was one of the judge at the time that changed places with her and got hauled off to jail. Or
well, that's one of the stories we're hoping to get on interview. We don't have it yet.
Well,
but
Bev did say a little bit about it, but of course Ken Mahoney did talk a little bit about it at the library, but we hadn't got him on tape yet. But that was kind of an interesting story, I thought.
Well, and I think what's interesting is that I've lived in this area my entire life, and I'm finding out stories that I didn't know about. So I think, you know, that's probably going to happen with other people. It's interesting. You know, some of the stories make you laugh. Some of them are you know, a little more hard-hitting. Some of them are really promising. The story of Bev Hunt and Jim Casino and Jane Hanna, they are all living in the Blue Ridge subdivision, and that's the area where groundwater or drinking water was contaminated by Hooker Chemical. And the neighbors in that subdivision got together and really pushed hard and eventually got safe drinking water from Hooker Chemical.
They were getting tired of water jugs, right?
Well, exactly, and that was a big deal. But they had to work hard. You know, they wrote letters to then Governor Milliken, President Carter. They ended up on national news with Britt Hume. You know, so it really shows that, you know, a small group of people can make a big difference.
Tanya, these reminiscences are being videoed, and Oscar, I believe, is doing the videoing. And you said they're going to be up. Are they up yet? Can people look at these videos as you do them?
Absolutely. They're not all of them that are planned this year are up yet. We're not done with the interviewing, but we have 4 or 5 up there for public viewing already, and people should go to restoringwhitelake.com and check out the site because there's a lot of information, but you'll need to look in the oral history resource collection, and you'll see a title and a link to a video and a little description of what's there. We've got Norm Ullman, former mayor of Whitehall, Dexter King, former manager of the tannery, the Blueberry Ridge subdivision story, Chuck Vanderlaan, a teacher from Montague who was involved in going out into the lake and doing some sampling with some other activists and
GVU rather.
Yeah,
well, you know, I've got an anecdote that perhaps you're not familiar with, but I had too many cocktails at a Michigan State homecoming event, and a friend of mine from college and I decided it would be a great idea to buy a marina somewhere. This is back in 1975.
That's right, I forgot about that.
And we ended up engaging a real estate gentleman who searched around, and we didn't really know anything at the time, and turned out that the only marina that we would be able to afford happened to be in a place I'd never heard of. It was in Montague, Michigan, which at the time was Jolly Roger, but for many, many years had been Bartow Boat Works. And my friend and I bought the marina. We took over on the great ice storm on March 1st, I believe it was, of 1976. And we proceeded to do our business, and we had a pretty successful about 5 years or so. But a year or two after we had purchased the marina, there was a store in Whitehall, which I'm sure, Tanya, you're familiar with. It's long gone, but it had all sorts of knickknacks and magazines and drug paraphernalia. It was just one of the great little stores that you would want to visit.
Franklin
if you
over there.
No, it wasn't a Ben Franklin. It was some private little operation.
It was a head shop.
Well, it had a head shop. Part of it, it was just worth a little visit. But anyway, they had big piles of Life magazines, and I was just kind of browsing through them. And there was a Life magazine, which I think was from 1975, the year before we purchased the marina. And it said White Lake, Michigan, the Montague Whitehall, the most polluted lake in the United States. And so now we knew why we could afford a marina up in that area. So I don't know if you've been able to find that Life magazine. I would imagine there's an archive of it someplace.
Well, and I am familiar with it, and I would probably offer just a slight correction, and I don't think it said the worst polluted, but it was it certainly received national attention for its pollution. And then, of course, in 1985, it got on a Great Lakes list of polluted waterways, and that's the list that we're going to be off next year.
So your entire efforts are really covered by very good news.
Right.
Yeah, and I think that's the biggest point that I would like to make, is that this is not a negative story. It's basically looking at what happened in a real thorough way, getting an idea of the different viewpoints of the community, how it affected the community, but also celebrating the fact that we were able to move beyond the pollution, and we're looking at a much better future.
Okay. Well, give them the website one more time, and to make sure they can go to it.
It is www.restoringwhitelake.com, and we would love to have people visit. And there's also a link to a blog there. I write a blog about some of the different stories that are surfacing, and would love to have people's comments and their own stories to add to the site.
Yeah, don't miss the Dexter King one. That one's one of my favorite. But anyway, 99 years young. What a great storyteller. But anyway,
That's great.
Thank you very much.
Thanks so much, Tanya. Great stories.
Okay, well, we're going to take a break, and we'll be back.
We will be right back.
Right back.
Yeah, it is neat.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Oscar. Appreciate it.
Hi, this is Ed Schultz. You can catch me right here weekdays on the Ed Schultz Radio Show, where America comes to talk. When the post office goes away, you're going to be screwed in rural America. And it ain't going to be email that's going to save your rear end in business. Your shipping and delivery charges are going to go through the roof, because then you're going to be charged with those confiscatory rates. That's what's going to happen. And you know who did that to you? Your friendly Republicans who say they're all about freaking small business. Join me for the Ed Schultz Show.
Catch it weekdays at noon on News Talk 1090. WKBZ, the talk of Muskegon.
Good morning, I'm Derek Francis with this 13 News update. Hundreds of thousands of people have packed St. Peter's Square today to watch the official inauguration of Pope Francis. Today's ceremony is part public celebration, part solemn ritual. He'll accept the symbols of the papacy at St. Peter's tomb before giving a holy mass to more than 1 million people. Meanwhile, Vice President Joe Biden is there today representing the U.S. A student at the University of Central Florida is dead after police foiled his plan to open fire on other students. The gunman's roommate alerted police when he saw the student with a gun. Police found the gunman dead in his room with a single gunshot wound to the head. There he had explosive guns and hundreds of rounds of ammunition. Chase Bank computers are having problems. They are showing customers zero balances both online and via mobile sites. Chase released a statement yesterday, however, saying the company was having a technology issue and the problem has nothing to do with a cyber threat. And a proposed bill in the Michigan legislature could save cities and counties millions of dollars. Senate Bill 245 would exempt government jail building projects from sales tax on construction material. Muskegon County has already approved plans for a new jail and juvenile center. The county expects to pay around $20 million in construction material. Now, if 245 becomes law, the proposal would save Muskegon County more than $1.2 million in sales tax. Keeping you informed online, I'm WZZM 13's Derek Francis on NewsTalk1090.com.
Nunica, 96 work zone, and the detours still clogged because of conditions. 31 okay in Muskegon, but city streets and country roads tricky with ice and slush. 24-hour traffic tip line 830-3111 in the Meyer Traffic Center. I'm Kevin Richards.
It's the sale Michigan's been waiting for 1 week only. It's Benton Chevrolet Cadillac GMC's gigantic 30th anniversary sale. Both sides of Henry Street are packed wall to wall with vehicles. And right now, get up to 30% off your new car. Trade-in values are at an all-time record high. Buy low and sell high. Get up to 30% off your new car. 0% financing and up to $10,000 in discounts and more. Right now, get a 2013 Chevy Silverado, only $198 a month, plus 2 years free maintenance, or a 20 2013 Chevy Cruze, only $79 a month. A huge selection of Chevy Malibus at $109 per month. And Chevy Equinox, just $119 a month. We want and need your trade. And values are at record high levels. Plus, get up to 30% off the price of your new vehicle. Every vehicle sold is backed by the Benton low price guarantee. Only at the Benton Chevrolet Cadillac GMC's anniversary sale. Both sides of Henry Street, Muskegon. The time to buy is now.
Look how sad your smartphone is because it doesn't have iHeartRadio. It can't listen to 1,500 live radio stations. It can't make its own custom music stations. It can't even use the Perfect 4 feature. No wonder it's sad. I may weep myself. But you can cheer that phone up. Download the iHeartRadio app now. It's free at iHeartRadio.com. iHeartRadio is now available on Roku.
Here's the official News Talk 1090 WKBZ forecast. A lake effect snow advisory remains in effect until midnight. Occasional snow showers today with 1 to 2 inches of accumulation. Quite windy with those west winds at 25 to 35 miles an hour. Occasionally gusts over 40, a high of just 28. Still windy tonight, more snow showers, but less than an inch of accumulation. A low of 22. Northwest winds 25 to 35. And then variably cloudy with snow showers tomorrow. Still cold. A high of only 24. News Talk 1090, the talk of Muskegon.
Platform shoes on when that little intro comes on, don't you?
Oh, that's just, well, I'm not so sure you ought to get your platform shoes on since you told me you almost killed yourself in the parking lot this morning.
Right, I did.
But it is 22 degrees out here in Barrow, Alaska, if you look outside. It is really, for the day before summer, folks.
Day before spring.
Once again, proof of the global climate change that you caused by driving your car.
Right.
Among other things. Heating your house.
I think shooting guns has something to do with it, too, doesn't it?
I'm thinking shooting guns and driving a Jeep and all of that. It's my fault.
You know what?
I'll burden the responsibility.
Just wear a cardigan and go at it. But, you know, before we took the break and before we had Tanya on telling us about the White Lake efforts there, you were talking about this event that is going to happen day after tomorrow, Thursday night, in Ottawa County. It's going to be in Grand Haven?
It is in Grand Haven.
Okay.
And Jim,
and maybe you can just extrapolate a little bit more.
Yeah, just to kind of cap that. What in fact, frankly, my reason for bringing the topic up today, aside from it's a passion topic of my own, is that it's this is the case with all of the meetings. It's no different than the local state representative who has a district meeting and nobody shows up. No different than your state senator who has public meetings where he or she is gathering at a coffee shop. They're publicized or put on his Facebook or her Facebook, but nobody shows up. In this case, what I'm drawing it to is a conversation about gun violence. Now, if you support the Second Amendment and don't go, those folks that do show up who do not support the Second Amendment, it will be only their voices heard by the elected officials, by the media, etc. And so what I'm telling you, I'm going to be there, but what I'm proposing to you folks is that if you don't want to surrender your government and your representation to those that do show up, make sure you're there beside them with your opinion and your views. Now, if you want to register, this is a pre-registration.
Yeah, you must register in order to attend this event. So this is important. Get a pencil handy, or you can go to Eye on Muskegon. Actually, I believe it's on Muskegon Pundit, and I think you've got it on your Facebook also.
It's on Mike Hewitt Facebook. It's on Renegade River Facebook.
Okay, all the information.
All the information on how to register, but specifically what you'll need to do is you need to email communityconversationforum@gmail.com.
Community Conversation Forum.
Communityconversationforum
at gmail.com.
And what you're going to get is looks like they're trying to register about 200 people. There's a light meal that will be served. There's a small host of people that will share their unbiased view, I'm certain, since it's titled A Conversation About Gun Violence. And then thereafter, you're going to gather into groups, and hopefully you'll be able to have your voice heard in this. So that way, when the headline news the day after is written, it won't be one-sided. It will include your voice also, and that's true with all public meetings, Jim.
Well, let me just extrapolate a tad on what you said here. That in fact, this isn't just an event that's happening here in West Michigan. It's happening and supported and sponsored by and paid for by big organizations throughout the country. And if in fact only people who have been communicated to who are anti-gun. They have a nice kumbaya, they all have a nice discussion, and they all agree that we definitely need more federal intrusion, state intrusion, more controls on gun controls. Then the people from the media will either either have attended those meetings or will get the press release saying, 97% of the people who attended this meeting agree that we need serious changes in our laws. This it appears to me, if the way you present it, it appears to be a planned event nationally to come to a planned result that, in fact, is not going to be the truth in terms of the way certainly people in West Michigan are, because, in fact, they have purposely kept Second Amendment rights folks like you, gun owners and others, out of the loop, except, Mike, you're trying to include them in the loop. And we're going to take a little break here and come back, because I want to relate what Mike's efforts are here to the Farmers Market Forum that we had last night. There's another one tonight. So right after this, we will be back.
Hi, this is Brian Kilmeade, inviting you to listen to Kilmeade and Friends. I break down the biggest stories of the day in the news and tell you what I think. Plus, you get insight and perspective from my Fox friends like Steve Ducey, Gretchen Carlson, Brett Baer, Chris Wallace, Governor Mike Huckabee, Bill Hemmer, Martha McCallum, and people like Geraldo Rivera, only on Kilmeade and Friends.
Catch it weekday mornings from 9 till 11 on News Talk 1090 WKBZ, the talk of Muskegon.
I'm John Leslie, and I lost 123 pounds, and I've kept it off, thanks to the John Morgan Hypnosis Seminar. Lou Mayhew attended a session, and he quit smoking forever.
I was a non-smoker when I walked out of there.
A John Morgan hypnotist will be here soon. Call 800-735-6907. Hypnosis is safe, fun, and effective. You can lose weight and keep it off, or stop smoking forever.
I'm not quite sure what the effect was, but I know the effect was tremendous.
Join John Morgan hypnotist Mark Pasnek Thursday, March 28th at the Shoreline Inn and Conference Center, adjacent to the Lake House Restaurant in Muskegon. Smoking cessation is at 6 p.m., weight loss at 8 p.m. Call 800-735-6907 or visit johnmorganseminars.com. Sessions are affordable at $59.95.
After about the third week of not smoking, I realized that I could afford a new truck. I was so confident that I wouldn't smoke again that I actually went out and bought one.
Call 800-735-6907 or visit johnmorganseminars.com. That's johnmorganseminars.com.
You're smart enough to know when a deal seems too good to be true, like a no-sweat workout plan or a $5 prime rib buffet. But when you're shopping for car insurance, it's surprisingly easy to get duped into crummy coverage. That's why Esurance created the Coverage Counselor, an online tool to help you choose the right coverage for you at a great price. Too good to be true? Nope. Just insurance for the modern world. Esurance, now backed by Allstate. Click or call.
Coverage Counselor highlights options to consider in choosing coverage. Not available in all states.
Look how sad your smartphone is, because it doesn't have iHeartRadio. It can't listen to 1,500 live radio stations. It can't make its own custom music stations. It can't even use the Perfect 4 feature. No wonder it's sad. I may weep myself. But you can cheer that phone up. Download the iHeartRadio app now. It's free at iHeartRadio.com. iHeartRadio is now available on Roku.
News Talk 1090 WKBZ has a great way for you to save money. Up to 70% off on the items you want, like accessories for your man cave, fitness memberships, car care packages, GoPro cameras, and a lot more. Visit bidonwestmichigan.com, check out all the items, and make sure that you register yourself as a bidder. So check out the spring auction right now at bidonwestmichigan.com.
Having hospice care means focusing on living each day to its fullest. The sooner you call Harbor Hospice, the more we can do to manage pain and control symptoms. Today's hospice is about living well. People in hospice care visit casinos, eat in restaurants, and enjoy their grandchildren. Choosing Harbor Hospice early adds life to your days. It's your journey, your terms, our expertise. Visit harborhospicemi.org. That's harborhospicemi.org and take control.
This is Mike McCready. You probably know me as one of the founding members of the rock band Pearl Jam and the band's lead guitarist. For the last 24 years, I've been living with Crohn's disease, a chronic and often painful digestive disease. Luckily, I have my disease under control. But so many of the 1.4 million Americans living with Crohn's and a similar disease called ulcerative colitis live day to day not knowing when their disease will strike next. The Crohn's and Colitis Foundation is committed to transforming the lives of those impacted by Crohn's and colitis toward a future based on well-funded, cutting-edge research. You can help by joining one of CCFA's 130 Take Steps walks taking place around the country this year. Make the decision now to join us and take a step toward a future free from Crohn's and colitis. Sign up today at www.cctakesteps.org. That's cctakesteps.org. Take a step. Register today.
Army Specialist Andrew Pike became paralyzed while serving in Iraq.
My injury was a gunshot wound to the left abdomen from a sniper. My first contact with paralyzed veterans was in Walter Reed.
Paralyzed veterans National Service Officer Michael Killen.
We try to reassure them what benefits are out there, try to educate them and take some of that stress away from them.
Right now I'm going back to school to earn a degree, and I'm just spending time with my wife and child.
You can help our paralyzed veterans. Visit pva.org.
Increased risk like I am. Ask your doctor when to start screening. And if you're 50 or older, get screened. I don't have my mother anymore, so please, do everything that you can to stay around for yourself and for your family. Screening saves lives.
Sponsored by the Michigan Department of Community Health and the Michigan Association of Broadcasters.
Now, back to Talkin' Muskegon on News Talk 1090 WKBZ, the talk of Muskegon.
Carl, give me that wah-wah. That's what it sounds like, little wah-wah guitar. You remember those?
Oh, yeah. we do need wah-wah here on this show. Get people going in the morning. Hey, Mike Hewitt was talking about this event that's coming up day after tomorrow down in Grand Haven. It's ostensibly a community conversation, and intelligently from their standpoint, it appears that they're looking to pack it with people who are anti-gun and then be able to go to the media and say, hey, look, everybody agrees with us. Well, I'm going to have a similar situation that happened last night. Many of you may be aware, certainly the Chronicle, I think, has done a wonderful job at promoting this. Last night at the Beardsley Theater, there was a forum, and it was very well attended, well over 80 to 100 people. The place was packed, actually, the Beardsley. They had a forum to discuss this very likely, it looks to me like it's a big boulder going downhill. It's going to happen that they're going to move the farmers market from its current location to an area downtown, I think someplace where the old Sears used to be. Now, there's been, I've spoken with many people who are not for the move for a variety of different reasons, but if you attended that meeting last night, there were some who complained, but the vast majority of the people, I would say 90% plus, at least of those who spoke, and certainly all of the presenters were very much in favor of the move. Now, I'm not going to talk about my views on the move, but what I think is important to understand is that if you are unhappy with various laws, if you're unhappy with spending that goes on in your municipality or nationally, it happens because somebody was interested in having it happen, and they showed up at the meeting. And it would seem to me that if I was an elected official in Muskegon, the city of Muskegon, and I had attended this meeting last night at the Beardsley Theater, filled, packed with people who were clearly interested in being informed and interested in the possibility of a location change, and almost everybody was for the move. How could you, in good conscience, if you were using that as a guide, how could you not vote in favor of that kind of move? And the same thing that Mike is talking about, where you have a gun conversation, and if everybody in the room says, hey, we've got to make sure that the good people don't have guns, well, the media will get that. Now, I would just say tonight, there are supposed to be 3 of these conversations, these forums, about the move. The first one was last night. Tonight is the second meeting. I do believe it's an open meeting, but it is intended to be for the people who live in the Jackson Hill, McLaughlin, and Nelson neighborhoods. That's going to be at 6:30 tonight at the First Congregational Church, which is at 3rd and Jefferson. I will attempt to be there. I will also try to video. I did video it last night. It's on Ion Muskegon. You can see the video. I've also posted it on MLive's site. A really good article that Dave Alexander was doing commentary throughout the entire meeting. If you want to save yourself watching the video, you can. His commentary is quite accurate. But folks, if you don't show up, the people who do will make the decisions. They'll spend the money. They'll have the power. And for those of us who are thrilled with the results, the bigger government, more spending, things of that sort. Well, it's working out just great for you. But if you're not happy, you got to get off your butox, and you've got to get away from the TV or whatever it is you're doing and start attending these meetings.
Come on, Dancing with the Stars was on last night.
There we go.
Watching that.
American Idol or something.
Yeah.
For me, Jim and Oscar both. Remember the term silent majority?
Yep.
And part of the problem, if you will, or deficit for most conservatives, is that we don't get up and take an action.
Well, we get what we deserve in some cases. So we will be back tomorrow. We deserve to be back tomorrow, do we not?
That's right. Ron Van Timmeren tomorrow, too.
And we got Ron Van Timmeren, we got Mike and Jim Riley, and the Big O tomorrow.
It'll be exciting. I think it's an exciting group myself. I'm pretty excited, especially facing this wonderful winter weather.
There we go.
It'll be spring tomorrow, Oscar.
Yeah, spring tomorrow.
Okay.
Yep. I'll spring out of bed and look out the window and it's like, oh man, I got to drive in that.
It's not letting up, folks.
No, it's not. So anyway, we got to celebrate your birthday soon too, right?
Not till June.
Yeah. Well, I think we'll just do it a little early here. What do you think?
Oh no.
When you get old, we need to celebrate it several times.
When I get older.
Hey, you and John will be 64, won't you?
John and I are separated at birth.
Yeah. See ya.
Have a great day, folks.
Bye now.